Welcome to the 6-Minute Stretch Challenge number 5. Today, we will be focusing on being physically charged, and we will focus on one component in particular. Do any of these sound familiar to you? I don't have time for breakfast. I'll grab something when I get off this call, and we find that it's 3 cups of coffee, a Coke, a Red Bull, or whatever is most easily accessible in that pantry cabinet or maybe your desk drawer. Or we might even say, I don't have time to eat. I'm starving. I'll make it up at dinner time. Unfortunately, that sounds like a lot of us. And so today what we're going to focus on is not being exhausted and worn out, but how do we become physically charged? And we are going to focus on one area, as I said, and that is nutrition. And one of the things that we learned long ago is there is a formula for nutrition. And it makes sense, but it hit me several years ago of why it is so important. So we have a G, that stands for glucose. That is the ability to eat. Check. I can do that one. I can eat. Oxygen. Can I breathe? So that's pretty easy. I can sit around and eat and breathe, but that's not really what's going to give us our energy. Where we get our energy is when we actually have circulation or movement. So when we combine these the right way, we have glucose, we feed our body, we breathe, we have circulation and movement. That is what creates our energy. And Sarah's going to share with you a tremendous way to look at this to help you understand this even better.
Yeah, and this is probably one of the most eye-opening things that you and I explored, Denny, when we first got into this concept of creating and managing energy. You take the formula that we've just shown and you add to it what happens in that big G space, right? When glucose goes into our body, what's that really doing? So I'd like to show you a quick graphic of what happens when we either overeat or undereat. And that first space that I really want to introduce to you is what we call that green zone or that happy place. This is when your glucose is where it should be, where we feel pretty stable, we feel pretty good. In the end, we start to think, how do we get to the happy place? Well, there are actually 4 places where our bodies can go to get some energy. The first place is to eat, right? So the very easiest place is to give yourself some glucose by eating. But we don't always do that, right? So let's say that you didn't eat, you didn't put glucose into your system. One of the other places that you can actually go is your liver. So the liver is another place that you could go to get some energy. If you don't go to your liver, you could actually go to your muscle. So that's a third place that you can go to get energy. And then many of us know the fourth one, that good old stable fat. So we do have 4 places where you can get energy. Well, let's look at when you decide, I don't have time to eat breakfast. Let's say that you take eating off the table. So we eat just a little bit, maybe a cup of coffee with a little bit of sugar or sweetener or cream. It gives us that happy place for maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes, but then we tank and we have words like hangry happen to us because we're not in the happy place any longer. So we have 3 other places our bodies can go to get energy. The thing about our liver is that throughout the day, when we eat food, the body will actually take particles of carbohydrates and store them in your liver in the form of something called glycogen. The reason why it does that is because when we are sleeping in a state of rest at night, our body runs off of all of the glycogen in our liver. Well, if it's in the morning and you just woke up, decided not to eat glucose, guess what is in your liver? Nothing, because you've been using it all night. So the liver is not going to be the next place where you go. So you've got 2 options. You've got your muscle and you've got your fat. This is where most people say, hey, no problem, right, Denny? They say, hey, I've got plenty of fat. I'm good to go.
Take it out of the fat.
That's right. If you think of your fat as a 401k account and your muscle as an ATM, when you need a quick $20 to get you through the day, do you go to your 401k? No. So we don't go to fat. Our body will actually go straight to muscle. So the winner in this case is you will burn muscle, lean muscle mass to get you to your next meal. So I want you to consider the taxing effect of that long term. Now let's do the other side. Let's say we overeat. We didn't eat lunch. We didn't eat breakfast. So we get to dinner and we eat a ton. We are in the happy place for a little while, but then somewhere around the 3-hour mark, maybe up to 4 hours, what happens is your body says, that's enough. It will take anything you haven't yet used and it will store it into fat. Well, one of the things that's really happening here is that we're taxing our body long-term, not just short-term. And a lot of people don't realize that your body is starting to adjust to those habits, and it will actually acclimate your natural tendencies inside your metabolism to accommodate for that, going in a place that we often don't want. So our goal is to figure out, Denny, how to get the nutrition cycle right, and we've got some tips for them.
That's the last place that it takes us. So we really have to be cognizant about what is going on here because, as Sarah said, it goes into fat. So what do? So our power surges, as we look at this, is from a nutrition perspective, is breakfast. There's a reason they call it breakfast, is to break the fast. And most people would say, well, if I'm going to look at meals, which one's the most important? they tend to say it's breakfast, but we're here to say they're all important. So we do need to make sure we have it. The second thing that we look at is how do we fuel our body throughout the day after breakfast? And we want to eat until we're satisfied, not until we're full, etc. And we do that by having smaller, more frequent meals throughout the day. And then we want to have those balanced meals as well. So it's not just that you load up on carbs or proteins, but there's a good balance between proteins, grains, and fruits at every meal that you have. And then, of course, we have in between, to hold us over, about every hour to hour and a half, are healthy snacks, which are absolutely critical for our overall functioning. And so one of the other things, Sarah, we talk about is we need to listen to our body, which is extremely important. Your body tells you an awful lot about when to feed you, what you need to be doing. So we really need to listen to our body. So Sarah, do you have a challenge for them?
We do, and it goes right back to the same thing we've been challenging on. This is our 5th mental stretch challenge, but this is in the physical space. First, we want you to grow as an individual. Take some of the things we just mentioned. Break the fast. Eat snacking strategically. Find a way to really leverage balanced meals, but find something that is an individual tactic that you apply right away. And then, of course, we also want you to grow as a team. Use this to explore it conversationally with people in your lives, your family, also people that you work with. Are they doing a good job putting nutrition in? When glucose goes in, we want to move it around, but we've got to start with getting it right up front. So have conversations with people. Share this video with them. Give yourself a chance to actually make the movement. Right, Denny?
Absolutely. And there will be more information in the handout on resources. We only had 6 minutes to share with you a couple ideas, but there's so many things that we can do. And so as we approach challenge number 5, as we talk about it, it's go time. And so folks, let's do this.